can get started in Cross 101. Want to make sure that everybody can hear me, so please go ahead and type in the chat box. What I need to see in there is your grad year, your state, and your events, so I can take attendance, and then also obviously to make sure that everybody can hear tonight. And if you click on the chat feature there, you're going to be able to type directly into that box. I'd ask that you guys keep yourselves on mute for the duration of the class just to make sure that the recording comes out clean and everybody can hear everything that's going on. My name is Allison Vincent. I'm one of the head recruiting coaches here at NCSA. I've had the opportunity over the past 7 years here at NCSA to help over 7,000 families go through the recruiting process. So I'm excited to be working with you guys tonight and helping you get off to a great start in your recruiting process and make sure that we're getting your questions answered off the bat. I had the opportunity to go from a very small town in Wisconsin to compete at Indiana University. I had 40 kids in my graduating class, and Indiana has about 40,000 students on campus. So it was definitely a great experience, definitely an interesting experience, and one that has made me passionate about continuing to be involved in track and field. And I've been involved as a coach and now as a recruiting coach ever since. What we're going to talk about tonight are the division level basics. You can understand what you're looking at in terms of the different division levels within track and field, what you can understand in terms of scholarship opportunities that we have in our sport, and what the recruiting process and the timeline really looks like within our sport as well. Again, guys, if you've got a lot of background noise going on, if you could mute yourself, that would be fantastic, so we can make sure who's here to listen tonight can hear the presentation. That would be fantastic. So we're going to start out, first of all, by talking about the numbers. And it's important to understand numbers in our sport because, let's face it, guys, our sport is really driven by numbers, right? You kind of live and die by your PRs. That's what college coaches are going to be evaluating you based on. So that's something that you're definitely understanding is what your numbers look like and where they fit. When we look at the numbers in terms of opportunities, one of the things that you're going to notice is that there are a lot of girls who compete at the high school level. Track is actually the largest sport in women's high schools, and there are a good number of roster spots at the college level. Still, having over 30,000 roster spots in college, only about 7% of you guys are going to make that leap from high school to college. So that's important to definitely understand. So want to make sure that you're kind of understanding the breakdown between the different division levels and are able to take a look at that. When you look at the breakdown between the division levels, you can see that Division I is the largest. Over a third of all of our roster opportunities are actually at the Division I level, followed by Division III, NAI, and then Division II, NAI, and then junior college. When we look at the average team sizes, I want you guys to think about this in relationship to the number of scholarships that they have. So for the Division I level, we've got 18 full ride scholarships to give, and those are divided up amongst almost 40 young ladies that are on an average Division I team. At Division II level, they've got an average of 29 student athletes on their team, and they've got 12.6 scholarships to give. At the Division III level, they don't have any athletic scholarships at all, and their average team size at the Division III level is going to be 30. NAIA schools have 12 scholarships to give, and their average team size is 21. Junior colleges typically have right around 15 scholarships to give, and their average team size is right around 16. You can tell right off the bat that there are not a lot of female track athletes out there who are on a full ride scholarship, right? When you look at the numbers and you look at the equation, it's very difficult in our sport to get a full ride for a number of different reasons, the primary one being just the law of supply and demand and the fact that we do not have enough scholarships to cover everybody on the team. When we look at the men's numbers are very similar to women's, with the exception being that there are a lot more guys who compete in high school, about the same number of roster spots at the college level. So your percentage of opportunity to go on and compete in college is actually a little bit less. You're looking at only 6% of you guys having that opportunity to go on and compete versus 7% with the women's side of things. You're looking at the opportunities by division level. Again, they're virtually the same on each side of the equation. So you've got Division I holding the bulk of the roster openings, followed by Division III, Division II, NAI, and then junior colleges. And also, guys, you're looking at very similar numbers in terms of average team sizes. One of the major differences is going to be, though, the fact that men's track has less scholarships than women's. So at the Division I level, instead of having 18 scholarships with an average team size of 39, you've 12.6. And so it is even more difficult for men in our sport to get a full ride scholarship or have a significant scholarship, simply because, again, the law of supply and demand, when you're looking at guys on a Division I team and you've got 12.6 scholarships to go around, you can tell that there's not going to be a tremendous amount of money in that sport. Division II, again, has 12.6 in the average team size of 32. Division III does not offer athletic scholarships, and their average team size is 34. NAI schools have an average team size of 25, and they've got 12 scholarships to split between them. And junior colleges have an average team size of 25, and they've got 15 scholarships to split between the guys that are on their team. So I want you guys to kind of understand the realistic equations here that are important in track land and cross-country land, and be able to kind of understand how that relates to you. What we're going to do is talk about each of the different division levels and talk a little bit more about their competition level and what to expect in the recruiting process from them. So what are the competition levels of each of the divisions? It's very easy in our sport, because you're the same 100 meters at the Division I level as you are at a junior college level. So we can look at them side by side and say, oh, this division level is more competitive. Division is going to be the most competitive, followed by Division II and NAI, which are on a pretty equal plane directly below Division I, followed by NCAA Division III, and then you're looking at junior colleges that kind of round everything out. When we look at the numbers and we look at the competition level, guys, understand that within each division there's a spectrum. And there is a wide spectrum in a lot of cases. There are some Division I schools that are less competitive than Division III universities. And there are a lot of Division IIs that are less competitive than a lot of NAI or Division III universities. So definitely something to consider and something to think about. I would encourage you all to look directly at the program, understand the competition level of the conference and of the program, not necessarily focusing on the division level. I'm going to talk about Division I. They've got a number of schools that participate on both the track and cross-country side of things. If you're a men's track athlete, you've got the opportunity to do cross-country only. When you don't have that opportunity at the Division I level, you get to do both cross-country and track and field. If you are a cross-country athlete, obviously, they don't make jumpers and sprinters run cross-country, but you don't have the opportunity to do cross-country only is my point there. On the men's side, obviously, you do. Again, 12.8 scholarships on the men's side and 18 scholarships on the women's side. Like I just said, guys, there is a wide spectrum at the Division I level. Some schools are extremely competitive. They're going to be in what's called Power 5 conferences, which are the top 5 Division I conferences in the country. They're going to be competing for conference titles every single year. They're going to be competing for national titles more often than not, and they are going to be extremely, extremely competitive. They are to take athletes who are extremely talented at the high school level and make sure that they continue to be extremely talented at the collegiate level. They're not necessarily there in order to take a student athlete who has a tremendous amount of untapped potential and them into an amazing athlete at the collegiate level. A lot of times they're more of what I would call finishing schools, where they are going to basically build on the skill set that you already have rather than teaching you from scratch. I can 100% tell you guys I would not have an opportunity with Indiana University if I were going through my recruiting process today. Indiana University is a Big Ten school, part of a Power 5 Division I conference. And I've been proven very raw in terms of my skill set. I was a thrower and a hurdler in high school, and instead of doing either the one of two accepted forms of throwing, either a spin or slide, I did a shuffle. I made one up because I didn't have a high school coach, and it was ugly. And one of the reasons why I had the opportunity to compete at IU is because a future college coach saw the video and said, well, I've never quite seen that technique before, and this girl has probably the fastest arm I've ever seen, and I can work with that. And that was the reason why I had that opportunity. I can do today. The coach would not have even looked at my video with my PRs. So it's definitely an interesting that you guys are in right now in terms of the recruiting process. And if you're looking at those top tier Division I programs, you want to make sure that you understand what their recruiting standards are and how you hit those numbers, what those numbers actually look like for you as a student athlete. In terms of Division II, you've got an opportunity to go with cross-country only at in either men's or women's Division II. So our cross-country only athlete, you definitely have that opportunity at the Division II level. You're looking at quite a few numbers in terms of programs, and you're looking at also a very wide range. A lot of Division II programs are smaller. They're smaller schools. They have a lower number in terms of student populations. The teams are smaller, and they have a smaller number of scholarships. There are some programs out there that are super competitive. And a lot of times, honestly, guys, those are located within pretty close proximity to one another. Like we've got a group of super competitive Division II schools that are in Pennsylvania. And we got Rock, Edinburgh, all those universities that are public institutions, fully fledged track programs and full teams, and definitely very strong. You've got a group that's in Michigan and Ohio as well, and that's definitely a very strong conference. And then you've got a group that's in Texas, and then one more that's out on the West Coast. And the West Coast one with Adams State and Metro, and a lot of those programs is extremely strong in distance as well as other events. So a lot of times those schools that are extremely talented at the Division II level are going to be clustered within pretty close proximity to one another based on what they're looking at. And in terms of the opportunities, they're looking for that proven talent, but they're much more likely to take on a student athlete who has some development potential left. NAIA schools are very equivalent to an NCAA Division II. One of the things that you're going to see with the NAIA schools is that there are areas of opportunities specifically for distance runners in NAIA schools. One reason should be fairly obvious as you look at the screen here, guys, because they offer scholarships that are specifically designated for athletes, distance athletes at the NAIA level. The second reason is because they offer different events that the NCAA quite simply doesn't. So they offer a marathon and a half marathon contested at the national level. You can be a national champion or an All-American in the marathon. And if that's something that you're interested in, NAIA is definitely a great fit for you. A lot of times, again, NAIA schools, very similar to Division II, are going to be smaller institutions. And they're going to have smaller student bodies. They're going to have smaller teams overall, and you're going to probably have a little bit less travel with a lot of the NAIA institutions, and especially compared to what you're looking at the NCAA Division I. You want to understand the competition level of the particular program that you're looking at and make sure that you're looking at schools that are definitely appropriate for where you're at athletically as well as academically. In terms of Division III, Division III is the largest division level in terms of total number of programs that participate. There are a lot of programs that participate. There are a lot of really small teams out there. There are a lot of really big teams out there. And one thing about Division III that you need to note, they do not offer athletic scholarships at all. Why would you consider going to a Division III school if they don't offer athletic scholarships? This is a question that I get quite often. There's a good reason. First of all, you can have balance at Division III schools that, quite frankly, you can't find anywhere else, right? If you are trying to balance athletics and academics, you have a challenging major that you're going into, or whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that you're definitely checking out some Division III institutions because they are going to offer you some type of balance between athletics and academics. You also have the opportunity to compete a lot of times in a very specialized academic setting like a Case Western or Johns Hopkins or something along those lines, and have the opportunity to compete there. A lot of them are distance only or cross-country only, so definitely keep that in mind when you're looking at the programs and make sure that you're evaluating each school for a fit for you in particular. I would encourage everybody on this webinar, though, to make sure that you are considering at least one Division III school to have the opportunity to understand what it would be like to be an athlete at a Division III school versus Division I or Division II. Junior colleges are the last one to go through here, and they really fulfill a specific purpose for you in terms of if you are an academic non-qualifier or partial qualifier, you want to look at NCAA, junior college programs. Junior college schools will help you reset your academic eligibility, and we'll be able to give you the opportunity to go on and compete at a four-year school without taking years off in order to reset your academic eligibility. So that's something that you definitely want to consider. If you are an academic redshirt or academically ineligible at Division I, Division II, or NAI, you want to definitely look at the opportunities at junior colleges. One major concern that most families have with junior colleges, a lot of times they're commuter schools, so they don't have any type of built-in housing features. So I want to definitely make sure that you're considering that and thinking about that through the process. Make sure that that's definitely something that you're asking the coaches about, what kind of accommodations they make, if there's anything that they do to help student-athletes find appropriate housing. The forms of contact that you're getting from college coaches, you want to make sure that you're evaluating that as soon as it comes in. You want to make sure that you're understanding, how is this coach reaching out to me? What kind of message are they really trying to send to me? You know, sometimes we get very, very general emails and messages from college coaches, and we get really excited about them only to realize that you're essentially on somebody's list. Not necessarily being recruited by them, you just happen to be on their list, so you're getting an invite to their camp, or you're getting an invite to an upcoming high school meet that they're having, or you're asking you to come to a junior day. Again, it's not necessarily that you're being recruited by them, but you happen to be on their list. You make sure, though, that if it's a school that you're interested in, you can take your recruiting process from starting out with just simply being on their list to being a full recruit for them and have that opportunity by the way that you respond. So you want to make sure that you're definitely elevating the response that you give to that college coach and make sure that you're connecting with them directly and having a great conversation with them about how to move forward in the process. If a college coach is emailing you and saying, we've got a scholarship offer for you, bells should go off, right? Because that's definitely something that you're looking for. That's something everybody's looking for in the recruiting process, is to have that opportunity to compete and have that opportunity to get some funding to compete as well. If they about having a spot on the team for you, if they offer you an official visit, if you are there for like a junior day and they have set up a personal meeting with the coaches for you, all of those are very good signs that you're being recruited by the school and that you want to move forward. Any type of personal email communication or phone communication is going to be a great sign from college coaches as well. In the timeline, guys, understand that you can start this process as early as your freshman year. College coaches are going to kind of keep you at arm's length, though, until you get through your junior season. Because once you get through your junior season, that's when they make the determination whether or not you're going to be a good fit for their program. That's when you're going to understand what your final numbers are essentially going to look like as you go through the recruiting process. So are you somebody who can be a good fit for their team? Are you somebody who can contribute to their team and have that opportunity with them? Understand that unless you are nationally or internationally ranked, college coaches are not going to reach out to you. And so you want to make sure that you're being proactive and that you're making those connections with coaches and that you're really kind of driving the bus on this recruiting process with them. You want to make sure that it's definitely something that you are pushing forward and making those connections with coaches. Even kids who are nationally and internationally ranked guys, they don't necessarily have the opportunity to connect with all the schools that they want to. So it's not just that, you don't have schools that are coming after you. A lot of times in this process, everybody has to make those calls, everybody has to make those connections in order to get in touch with those right schools that they're really looking for in terms of opportunity. Your season track, senior season cross country are going to be the most important in terms of PRs, in terms of time. So make sure that you're definitely focused on that as you're going forward in your process. Think about having those PRs and really pushing those PRs out in front of coaches during your junior season track, senior season cross country. Most of the contact is going to pick up as you go throughout your junior season and be centered really on that summer between your junior and senior year and then throughout your senior year. We have a couple of different signing periods. First signing period is coming up here in about 4 weeks, and that's with the NCAA Division I and Division II institutions. And there are going to be signing students starting on November 8th, going through November 15th. And the kids that I have that are making decisions during this early period are typically kids who've gone on a ton of unofficial visits, who've done a lot of that work ahead of time before their senior year ever starts. So during their senior year, they can really kind of take final visits and make a final decision for themselves. And we've got a regular period for Division I and Division II that happens next spring as well. Division III, you want to make a letter of commitment by signing a celebratory letter of intent, and that usually happens in the spring of your senior year. And high schools, you can actually sign a letter of intent with them at any point throughout your senior year after the first day of classes. And then with junior colleges, you can sign a letter of intent beginning in January of your senior year. One thing that's really important to understand is where you fit in. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of charts here. First one up is women's, and then I'm going to put the men's up for a couple of seconds. What you want to understand about these charts, this is what we use to match you up with college coaches. So you're going through the recruiting process here at NCSA. One of the things that we're going to do is connect you with college coaches, and these are the charts that help determine where you go. So if your numbers are on the charts and we're connecting you with schools, you're going to be connected with that division level, and so we want you to be able to understand that. When we come up with these numbers, you need to look at a couple of different factors. First of all, what we look at is what it takes to make it to finals at national level within that particular division. So those are the numbers that are at the top of the chart. Those are either the schools who are looking for kids who can score points at a conference level and potentially at a national level their freshman season. What we're going to take a look at is the lower end of the spectrum. What does it take to score points at a conference meet in the lowest level conference within each division level? And so that's how we kind of get the bookends for each division level, so you guys can kind of understand that. One thing, again, that you're going to see is there is a ton of overlap between the division levels, right? You can see here that there are schools that at the Division II level that are going to be more competitive than Division I. Same thing, D3, that are more competitive than D2 or D1. So again, don't look necessarily at the packaging and the outside of everything with the division level. Look at the school itself. I'm over to men's numbers here, and I'm going to open up the floor for any questions. This is actually the last slide of the presentation. So I want to open up the floor for any questions that you guys have at this point. Please go ahead and type those in the chat box for me so I can go ahead and get those answered while you guys are still here.
Well, how do you do a question? The chat box. What's your question?
That's Maddie, great question. So yes, we definitely do have a way to reference that. If you're looking in your recruiting management system, if you go to find colleges, you can actually search by athletic level and then search by the academic status as well. So we've got 4 different qualification standards for both academics and athletics. The top one is most selective, and then it's selective, somewhat selective, and then all others. So when you go through and you click on that college search map, you can search the states, you can select the states up at the very top, and then right below that is you can select the division level and then also the competition level within that division. You can search for those schools that are going to be most competitive. The only thing that kind of throws a wrench into that is when you're looking at a specialized event, like if you're a pole vaulter, unfortunately that ranking looks at the entire program, not necessarily your program within it. So understand that if you're a thrower, hurdler, jumper, vaulter especially, it's not necessarily going to be reflective of how strong they are in your particular event group. probably 14.0, and we're at 2.0 right now. And so it gives you a good idea of the general overall program, but not specific event groups. Any questions at all tonight, guys? I'm going to go ahead and put our contact information up there. If there's anything that does come up, please make sure that you don't hesitate to reach out to the team with any questions that you have or anything that you're needing in your recruiting process. That's what we're here for, is to make sure that you're successful in finding that right fit for your college education. Please, again, feel free to reach out with any questions that you have after this class. We will send out a recording so you can review that at a later date as well. All right, have a great night. Thanks again for joining me.